Here's a story. I'm actually ready for it. No rehearsal, but I'm reminded of what happened a long time ago. It was an occurrence in the East Bronx. I lived in a very populated area, and more or less there were gangs, but not like today's gangs. It was a little bit different. And there were many instances, some of which you will gather over time if you watch my videos, where there was a great deal of violence. I didn't always know the source of it or where it started or how it ended. I never knew how it ended, hardly. This one time, there was a sudden commotion in the middle of the afternoon on a very busy street. I believe it was Washington Avenue in the Bronx, East Bronx, where I lived. You more or less knew all the neighbors, but there were people from other nearby areas that you wouldn't know. There was a huge commotion in the middle of the street, about a block away, like a parade. It looked just like a parade. It was a street full of individuals marching towards where I was and the people around me. And as they got closer, it was more in evidence that it was some sort of a parade, but not a very organized one. And they were screaming, they were yelling, and there was a man at the front who was leading the parade. He had not a baton, he had a baseball bat that he was wielding with one arm. His other arm was in a sling, and the blood was literally pouring from it, despite the fact it was wrapped in about, looked like 4 or 5 Turkish towels. His left arm was that way. He was a husky little guy. He was shouting also. I couldn't make a single word out. And they were marching up the street. No question about why. This was to get revenge against someone. But this man was bleeding so profusely. I'd never seen anything like it, or since, actually. This was probably in the 1940s, maybe in the late 1930s. And it was most dramatic. I was a very small kid at the time, and there was something that's really unforgettable. I pity the guy if they ever found him, or the guys they ever found, because the entire group was screaming, shouting. The man had been wronged somehow, and that's about the story. So I hope you don't think about that too much, and I'll go on to another one, after all. And this was also a violent one, this other one. It took place on a Sunday morning. I remember, again, a crowd was forming. This was on Webster Avenue, on the corner of Claremont Parkway in the Bronx, again, the East Bronx. And I went to see what the commotion was about, and there they were. It must have been about 50 to 60 people standing in the street, looking up towards the top of a stairway at the back of a church, and standing there in a little, what it looked like a little fenced-in area at the top of at the landing above the stairs. And there was I found out they were a father and son, very grown up. The son was, certainly. And they had apparently been in a fight with some individual who had used a razor blade. And they were cut up like from head to toe, arms, shoulders, bleeding all over, their face, their head. They were just standing there in total shock. And a policeman was with them, apparently questioning them. And that's the way it was. Something else unforgettable. And as long as we're on tragedies, I'll give you the third one. I happen to think of them. And why waste 1 minute on tragedy if you can waste 3? This is something I saw from my window in the Bronx again. This was on Claremont Parkway, Washington Avenue. That was an exciting place. And I remember being awakened in the middle of the night because I heard a commotion downstairs. It was about 3 floors down approximately. It was dark at night. I opened up the window. It was summertime. And I looked down through the fire escape bars, and there was 2 or 3 men trying to rescue another man. They were trying to rescue the man who was under a car. He was trapped under a car after an accident. Apparently a car turned over on him. And I watched that for an agonizing half hour at least. I didn't see any progress, but I heard them talking to the man who was trapped. That's something unforgettable again. So you don't blame me for remembering it. Maybe you blame me for telling you. But, delete. You know how to shut it off. So that's the story. I hope it never happens to anybody I know or anybody I don't know. This is Empathic Sam. Thank you very much. Time to shut it off.